This program is brought to you by Emory University.
On November 14, 2014, the Center for Faculty Development and Excellence at Emory University hosted a discussion titled Building Your Book Platform. The speakers described the importance of building and cultivating a base of people interested in your book's topic and how to effectively communicate through multiple media outlets, including radio, television, social media, and print. The speakers were Megan McRainey, Assistant Director of Media Relations at Emory, and Ken Carter, Professor of Psychology at Oxford College. In this video, Ms. McRainey discusses how Emory's Media Relations Department can help authors promote their books.
I handle primarily social sciences. We have other people who handle other areas, so depending on what area you're in, I may or may not be your person. If you're in law, I would not be. If you're in psychology, I would be. But it doesn't matter. Somebody in our office would be covering your area with regard to media relations. Just to give you a basic overview of what we do before I go into that, just so you understand what somebody in university communications would do to help you out with. Primarily we handle media relations. Usually your book publisher will handle things like a book tour, getting you set up with speaking engagements, those kinds of things. We can maybe arrange media opportunities around those speaking engagements. If you're going to be in San Francisco, we can approach the San Francisco Chronicle about maybe doing an interview with you while you're in town, that kind of thing. But primarily the publishers handle the event portion, and we just sort of try to build media around that. Also, some book publishers, depending on who they are, have their own publications arms who will do work with media relations, and we can supplement that here at Emory. It just depends on who your publisher is. So there's sort of that piece of it. But in terms of book promotions, what everybody says is absolutely right. If you've already established yourself as an expert in that area, it helps a lot in terms of finding a publisher, and then in terms of us getting media for you as an expert. You're not just a book in a void. You're already established. Sort of how you would establish yourself as a media expert would be certainly you come to communications if you're not already. Some people might already be working with the media, not necessarily our office. One of the advantages of working with our office is that we can, number one, get you media trained, which is pretty important. It teaches you how to give the sort of answers that the media are looking for, which is pretty important. If you do media interviews and you're not giving them what they're looking for, or you give a very long and complex answer, your interview portions may not make it into their article at all. So there is a method, I guess, and some tactics you can use when doing media interviews that help you basically give a good interview. So we can definitely help you out with that, also help you out with media etiquette. How quickly do you need to get back to the reporter? What can you say to the reporter, not say? How do you work with them on the article? All of these things are part of basic media training and something we're happy to do with you. Another thing that our office can do is work with you on how to find a niche for your expertise, I guess. One of the most important things about getting attention for a book or even getting attention for your expertise is to figure out where you fit in the news cycle. It's very hard to just come out and say, I have this topic and I would like to talk about it. If it's not something the media are focused on right then, it can be very difficult to get their attention, no matter how fascinating, no matter how important it is. If their attention is elsewhere, that can be difficult. We live and breathe the news every single day. We spend all of our time reading news articles. We spend all of our time working with the media. So we know our trade pretty well. So we're also helpful in that you can come to us and say, I'm an expert in this. What do you think that might work for? Sometimes it could be something sort of interesting like entertainment, or there's a new movie coming out that connects to your expertise. We do that all the time. We just talked to somebody in the School of Theology about the movie Exodus that's coming out. Usually he's a biblical scholar. You don't often get a chance to put a biblical scholar out there, but we saw the connection and we contacted him. So we're trying to get him set up to talk about the movie, just because there happens to be a tie-in. So there are all sorts of ways that we can get you out there that can tie into the news cycle, get you prepared to work with the media. All of those things build a good foundation. Some people might say, I don't care, I don't have a big ego. I have no urge to see my name in print. What do I care about that? I'm doing important work. You are doing important work, but one of the things people don't realize about media exposure, other than just getting your name out there, is that a lot of opportunities can come your way. And Ken will tell you more about what happened with him. I've been in university media relations for 12 years. I used to work at Georgia Tech, and then I worked at Agnes Scott. And I can tell you that there were faculty who were not internationally renowned, who were not nationally renowned, who got the right kind of national story and were approached by Honda with a grant. I heard you're working on fuel cells, and that sounds very close to something that we're doing. He had no way of doing that. He didn't have any industry contacts, but somebody came directly to him and said, I saw an article about your work. And we're interested in talking to you about that. People who are experts, and then a story gets out there and somebody at a different university says, I'm studying that, did you know that? And I have this piece that fits with what you're doing. So it's not just a matter of being an attention hog or a media superstar. I mean, a lot of really good things, grants, collaborations, you name it, publishers approaching you about doing a book has been known to happen. It's not common that people lay them at their feet, but it can happen. All of those things really do and can come to you if you get your name out there. So there is value beyond just being a glamour puss or wanting to see yourself on TV. There are a lot of practical things that can come out of working with the media. So yeah, I mean, that's just sort of a general overview. Ken's going to tell you more about it, but I mean, there are all sorts of things you can do to build publicity ahead of time that Ken's going to discuss that I've also had experience with. Social media is another component of that. There are all sorts of interesting creative things. I'm currently working with a professor who studies screams, and we're working on creating a quiz, possibly with the New York Times in advance of that. So that they thought that was a cool idea. He doesn't have any research related to it, doesn't have a book deal yet or anything like that. But there are all sorts of, Ken also has a quiz. There are lots of creative ways that you can sort of do that. And I would say that as sort of lastly, before we get going, we're also happy to talk to you while you're working on the book, before you even get into some final stages, about what you might be able to do to help make your book more media friendly or general public friendly. I've talked to faculty who are just still concepting on books and asked me for some help on even the concepting end. Of course, not the content, but more of a, how can I frame this to make it more media friendly? And it will vary wildly from book to book. Not every book is media friendly. That's another thing. I guess a caveat I should give you is that we can't work with, one of the great things about Emory is, of course, hundreds and hundreds of faculty are producing books all the time, and we can't work with all of them. But don't be bashful about coming to us and asking if we can help. If we think it has general media potential, we're happy to help you. If we don't think it has general media potential, we might tell you that and try to help you think of some other things that you might be able to do on your own. It just doesn't always have to be a media blockbuster kind of thing. But so it helps on the front end to think about what you can do to make your book more marketable as well. Because anything that makes something general interest ups your ability to promote it in the general public and with the media and things like that. So that's my general overview. But Ken can tell you a lot more about his particular project, but he fits all of those categories. Thanks.
The preceding program is copyrighted by Emory University.